Hi, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about more shows and movies that have come up on Netflix. As always, I try not to give you any spoilers, but try to give you a quick review so that you can decide if it's something that you want to spend your valuable time on. Today we're going to talk about Valentine's Day. I'd seen it in the past. I watched it again on Netflix to make sure that it was fresh. And I would say it's worth watching. Not so much as a serious story, but kind of a silly love story. It hits the nail on the head as far as Valentine's Day goes. I think that's why Netflix maybe didn't have it before Valentine's Day, is they probably had to pay a pretty penny for it, but in March, much cheaper. So it is out there now. It has come out this week, and it stars a lot of people. Even though with some movies, when they get this kind of a star cast, they tend to fall off on the quality of the writing. I would say the quality of the writing was better than I thought it would be. Unfortunately, they have a lot of overtones musically during scenes that could be taken very differently and just kind of make the scene fall on its face. So I think that the actor gave a very good portrayal of what was going on in the moment, but it's almost washed away by the musical tone. It almost makes it just silly or ridiculous or cheesier than maybe it would have been without it, without any tone at all. So it does have a lot of famous people on here: Jessica Alba, Kathy Bates, Jessica Biel, Bradley Cooper, Eric Dane, Patrick Dempsey, Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Garner are working together again in this one. Anne Hathaway, Ashton Kutcher, Queen Latifah, Taylor Lautner, Taylor Swift. We'll break down a few of their different performances. George Lopez was still in there at this point. Shirley MacLaine makes an appearance and plays a role. Let's see, Julia Roberts. Let's start with, I'm going to start from the bottom up. Taylor Swift had a smaller part, but a fun part. I think that she can play the Valley Girl teen very well. She brings herself into that vapid form in a hilarious fashion and does really well with it. It's cringeworthy at times, not her acting, but it just how she portrays the teenager so well. You're like, oh, these teens in that manner, but she actually played the role very well. You almost by the end of it feel like, hey, well, that was sweet, that was cute. Aren't teenagers silly, right? Then you have Julia Roberts, who plays a fun twist role. She does very well with that. Her timing is really well in this part. Her demeanor, how she carried herself for her role, did a fantastic job. Let's see. George Lopez was kind of the goofy comedy relief. Let's see. Taylor Lautner mirrored Taylor Swift very well. Just basically the guy version of what she was doing, and he played that nicely. Queen Latifah played her role as the boss where she was kept her employees in line, but she threw some sarcastic fun in there, and I think she brought more to that role than it would have been had it gone with somebody else. Then we have Ashton Kutcher, who plays pretty much the male lead in this, who you just find him as the love-struck optimist, and he did well in the role. At times you're like, come on, man, you're a little too giddy, but I mean that was the role, and he hit the nail on the head with it. Could have brought it in a little bit, like it was way out there as far as the role is, and maybe that's the direction that he was ordered to go in, was the impression that I got. Anne Hathaway was very funny without spoiling anything. She works as a phone sex operator and plays the part really well. really silly. She is the love interest of Topher Grace from that '70s show, and they make for a fun couple. I think that this was probably his best movie role. Jennifer Garner, is always someone you find yourself rooting for, the girl next door, the sweet person, and from what I understand, that's how she is in real life, is just this very sweet, caring person. So, always nice to see her in these roles, and this was made for her. Jamie Foxx played the slick sports reporter who was forced to go out on Valentine's Day and kind of get a word on the street, and was not a fan of that, but went in with a different kind of attitude and just kind of showed all sides of it and made it kind of fun. Let's see, Patrick Dempsey, I'm used to just seeing him as the heartthrob on that doctor show. I had to stop watching that doctor show. It was so cheesy. Grey's Anatomy. It just jumped the shark, ridiculous at points where I just couldn't watch anymore. But it was very interesting to watch him play a flip side role. And I thought he hit the nail on the head. He showed his range. I'd like to see him in some other things that have nothing to do with Grey's Anatomy. Another actor from Grey's Anatomy that was in it, again, huge cast on this, Dane, did a great job as a professional athlete that's faced with some tough decisions. Bradley Cooper, hit his normal, I don't want to say genius because it sounds cheesy, but he played his character to a T. He was likable but standoffish. Then Jessica Biel, who is usually a lot more like Jennifer Garner in her roles, just went a little bit to the side, just a little bit to the side to show a little bit more diversity in what she can do. Kathy Bates had one of those kind of side roles where if she wasn't playing the role, kind of like Queen Latifah, it wouldn't have mattered. The role would have been very forgettable, but she made it interesting. She made it engaging. And I'm sorry, Jessica Alba is the one that I was talking about that was taking more of a sidestep in what she normally does, and is normally playing a role kind of like Jennifer Gardner. It's Jessica Biel is from That Seventh Heaven, and this was her role after this. And she had probably more of her moments over-dramatized, and the music overemphasized, and really made her scenes almost comic-ish. Something you'd see on Nickelodeon with children. I don't think it was a very good role for her. I think that she should either pick something else or try to get the lines changed up. But her character almost seemed forced into the role because they were able to land another household name than something that was actually meaningful. So I just don't think it was a good role for her to take. I think that she should have taken another avenue as far as the part goes. So anyway, that's my feedback on the film. I'd probably say, given the cheese factor, it's like a 6.5, 7, but let's face it, most Valentine's Day movies are a 5 or a 6. So as far as Valentine's Day movies go, it's good. As far as love movies go, it's on the low side of good. So it's definitely worth a watch. Let me know in the comments what you think. And I would say that this one I would say it's okay for kids. You might want to screen it first and see what you think. But I would say this is one of the ones that could make it. Please subscribe below and let me know what you think of the film.